Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Imagine That this week. At Imagine, my name is Tim Parker, and this is
Rickard.
I am the global marketing developer. I'm in charge of a very large department here at Imagine. I get to talk to myself quite often. So,
Oh, it's going to be one of those days. I see it coming. No, I'm Rick Rickard. I'm owner of Imagine Tours and Travel, along with my wife, Amy. And thank you for joining us. It's good to have you with us today. We are going to be talking about Greece.
yes. So Greece would be one of my areas of concern as well, being global marketing.
Yes, it would. It
In
would
fact,
fall underneath you.
You told me, you said, hey, focus on everything except for
Israel.
Israel.
That's correct.
So, been working on Greece. We've been working on Germany, France, Switzerland, river cruises. I mean, there's just been a lot of stuff going on, and we've talked about that. But today we are going to specifically talk about Greece. So we're excited about getting to that. We've got lots of things that we need to talk about. We're going to be talking about trips that we have going off and potential for people to still add to those. Correct.
Correct.
So we've got that coming up. We've got changes that are happening in 2026.
Correct. We will go over that as well.
We have opportunities for pastors to join fam tours. We're going to cover some of those things.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've got just a lot of things that we're going to cover. So we're looking forward to sharing some information with you. We're also looking forward to hopefully you guys asking some questions. We always look forward to answering those questions and spending some time chatting back and forth with you guys. So why don't we go ahead and jump into that? We've got some big changes coming to Greece in 2026. Do you want to kind of share where we are there?
Sure. With Celestial Cruises, who we work with almost exclusively with for the Footsteps of Paul 3-night and 4-night cruise, they've made a lot of changes to the 2026 sailings. I would say.
Okay.
So in comparison to 25 to 26, some of the major changes is going to be prior to, in 25, they included the alcohol package. Not that everybody used it, but a lot of people did, and they love it. That was one of the bonuses. They pulled that completely off of 2026 trips, so it's not included. You can pay for it. It's about $270, I believe, if that's something you want to do. So that's no longer included.
Okay.
In addition to that, they have changed their policy. They're no longer including any of the shore excursions as part of their pricing. So we have had to build in, normally we include at least 3 of the excursions, Patmos, Ephesus, and in addition to that, we go to, what is the third one?
I think it's probably, was it the Santorini excursion or?
It could either be Santorini,
Or
it
Crete.
could go, it's usually Crete,
Yep.
at Heraklion. So essentially it's Crete, Patmos, Ephesus, those are the main. We don't necessarily recommend doing the shore excursion in Santorini or in Mykonos. Those are really more walking and exploring on your own. If there were something that we thought was worthwhile, we would tell you absolutely, let's include it. But it's not something that we see that you need to.
Okay.
So we're now having to add those additional things on as well. And then I think that's the Oea excursion there in Santorini.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice. It's a great excursion, but it's not necessarily something you want to include.
Okay.
And then to go further, in regards to it, they have updated their deposit requirements. They've increased the dollar amount of what they're going to require from us. And then in addition to that, now everything when we first started, it was 90 days. Then we moved to 120 days. And now we're up to 150 days where they require now anything that we cancel cabin-wise from 150 days prior to departure, we're under cancellation penalty. So based on that premise, we really need to have commitments from the travelers if they're going to do so. And I think that's probably one of the questions that comes in quite frequently is, so what's the last date that I can have to join a trip?
Sure.
Which is a little unusual, at least from my perspective, as why would I want to wait to the last date? I'm sure there's a lot of circumstances that go around it. But ideally, just so you're not left out, because right now the ships are selling out. So I wouldn't recommend delaying If you know that you're wanting to go on one of the trips, I would highly recommend going ahead and registering now and doing so earlier rather than later. In addition to, for all of you that are watching, all of our cabins and so forth that we base it on are an outside cabin. We don't book any of the inside cabin rooms. So all of our prices automatically include an outside cabin. Normally, it's either a fixed window or a porthole, but you do have an outside cabin so you can look out and do so. A lot of folks want to ask, can we upgrade? And the answer is normally, absolutely, we'd love you to, provided that there's cabins available. And that goes back to, if you don't delay and you register early and then you contact our office after you've registered, letting us know, look, I'd like to have an outside, maybe it's a balcony or an upgraded junior suite or something like that, they go very quickly. So one of those things would be, can I register now and can I upgrade? The answer would be, contact us. We'd love to do so.
Sure. So what we are trying to do, of course, we're getting our further and further out requests back for what we are going to need for cabin availability, just because of the large numbers of people that are traveling to Greece.
Correct.
So they're trying to get us to release space so that they can make sure that they're filling those rooms. So the increase in further out dates that we're looking at is not something that we're doing in order to push our side. We're actually trying to do that because the cruise line is pushing that out on us.
That's correct. Yeah. So just to reiterate what you said is, these are not conditions that Imagine is doing. These are conditions that are being placed on us, specializing in groups, in order to do so that we can actually serve you better.
Yeah, and if we want to be good stewards of that space, right, as well,
correct,
we need to be willing to get those back to the cruise line in order for them to be able to sell them. So that's another reason not to wait till the last minute to book on these Greece trips, or really on anything, because that's just a good practice to have for anything that we're doing. So.
Correct. Can I interject just
Sure.
before you go to the next step? Because of what's happened with the high demand for this April, May, and June, just as an example, many of the sailings that we had space on, maybe we were holding 25 or 40 or 50 cabins on certain dates, a lot of times the cruise line, Celestial, would come back to us and say, I know that you have your cabins, but we're doing a stop sell on this particular sailing, meaning that they're not accepting any new bookings. And then they come to us and they ask us, hey, I see you're holding 25 cabins for this particular group. How many cabins have you sold? And by the way, we really need a firm commitment from you because they're overselling many of their sailings. We don't want that to impact any of our groups. So because of that, like you were saying, we're trying to be good stewards. We're trying to utilize what we need, only holding the extra cabins that we think we're going to need to sell. If there's a few extra that are saying, hey, I'm registering, or I've got 2 couples here or 3 couples there, we're trying to be very fair and in light. We also want the cruise lines to remember that, so that when we do come to them, in case there is a need, they're going to know who we are and they remember that. And based on not just the fact that we have high volume, but it's also how you conduct your business.
Sure. And there are several things that you have to look at if you've ran it down to the last minute to book on one of these. It's not just availability for cabins that we're looking at. We're also looking at flight availability. There's multiple things, especially in Greece. You have an internal flight that we often use.
Correct.
So if you're not able to grab that, or that flight has increased to have greatly increased beyond what we typically pay for it, now we're having to pass some of that along. So.
Right, and that's the flight from Athens to Thessaloniki.
Yep.
So, some groups fly directly into Thessaloniki, but those are very limited flights. 80% of the groups fly into Athens, and then you have to make another connection and you continue on to Thessaloniki.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
in fact, I just had a phone call from someone trying to add on a trip that's only 62 days out, and that's although we try to make some stuff happen, that one is actually probably fairly close, so close that we can't really do a whole lot about that one.
No, we won't even know till tomorrow just to make sure that do we even have one more cabin.
Yeah. So, but we're checking into it.
So we'll know tomorrow.
What are the trips that are traveling in 2025 that people can still join as far as we're in March right now.
Correct.
If we're looking out to when could people still join, what month are they looking at still being able to join? Is it May? Is it June?
Right
Trips?
now, it would be June trips. I believe we have one group that's remaining
Okay,
that I believe we have one, if not two cabins on
okay,
for this June. And we would really need to know by this Thursday, and then that trip is closed out, and all of June would be done.
okay,
So ideally, if somebody's still wanting to jump on a trip and travel to Greece with one of our groups, I believe we have two cabins left for this June, but we would need to hear from you and have you register by this Thursday. So if they contact our office at,
info at ittworld.com.
yep, so if they reach out to us and do that, that was perfect.
Thanks.
And we'd love to have them add, and then we're closed for all of our June departures. They would be final. And then ideally, really what we go up to is the trips that we have that are still open in October.
Okay,
So I don't know that we have anything that's, actually, correction, we have one group that's in September
okay,
that they could actually join if they wanted to. I think that's a September, I don't know the exact dates, but it's, let me just give it a second.
so we're going to give that to, do we have tour codes? We're going to give tour
Sure,
codes
sure.
for that.
I think it's September 3rd
Okay,
as a departure, and that's the Hartwig G25. And we have, as it looks right now, we've got 8 cabins available, and then that sailing will be closed out. And then the next one that will follow in there will be October groups, and I believe we have 3 or 4 groups that still have space available,
yep,
and then one trip in November.
okay,
And after that, so we've got, I want to say, 5 groups that you could actually join to for this September, October, November. And then after that, we're done with all of our 2025 sailings that we actually have space for people to say, hey, unless your tour leader or pastor has told you they're holding space specifically for their group, which they have their own allocated space. These are groups that are looking to still add travelers to, so they're open dates, and then that's it. So we'll probably have another conversation like this again in about a month or so. Of course, June will be closed out, and then it'll just be September, a few groups in October, and then we have in November. I know that, for example, one of the trips that people always ask about is the John Delancey tour, because he happens to have a 4-night cruise versus a 3-night cruise, and I believe that he's going in October. So he has cabins available if you want to check out that too. I think it's Delancey, I want to say 1025 or 25G, based on that. So we can get you hooked up on that trip. That's definitely a possibility. And one of the sailings too, which is really unique, it's a 7-night cruise, which is the Snow
oh yeah,
G25. And I would tell you, if you're really looking for something that's unique, and I'm just going to talk personally, you have one night in Athens before the cruise, and so you have your sightseeing, you get your legs on the ground and so forth, it's great. Then you board your 7-night cruise, which is fantastic.
yeah,
You don't have to pack or unpack for 7 nights. And then you disembark and you have one more night in Athens. I think that's when you do your sightseeing tour and excursion to Corinth. And then you come back to Athens, do a little more sightseeing, farewell dinner, and then the next day you fly back. But that's, again, a 7-night cruise. That's Snow G25.
yep.
So I'd highly recommend that.
Yep, and just so you know, Zach is dropping those links into the comments. So if you are wanting to follow up on anything that we're talking about, you can go back into the comments, take a look at what Zach has loaded in there. He's loaded in the Delancey, which is, I believe, Delancey G25. He's loaded in Snow G25, and we've got Hartwig that we first talked about. So there's several there. I think Zach may even go through and load some other ones for you to take a look at. Just real quick, before we jump on anything else that we've got a question about, is Santorini open for tours? We are going the end of June, and I know there's been some back and forth about that.
Right now, the answer is yes. Anything could change between now and June, but as it stands, they're even contemplating some of the sailings for this March and April of returning back there. We just don't know 100% certain. That's probably the biggest question that we get asked is it open? It's up to Celestial Cruises if that's something they want to do. But right now, June is currently visiting Santorini. And I wouldn't be surprised again, and I said it at one of our earlier live streams, that they return and they say, okay, we really don't want to miss that business, because Santorini is one of the highlights of anytime you go over there, just from the aspect of it's a beautiful island to begin with. The people are extremely friendly, wonderful shops, wonderful views. They consider it the Los Atlantis in doing so. So I would highly recommend, if you have an opportunity to visit and they're still visiting, do it.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
So if you had a group, so I know we've received some questions. As Rick said, pretty confident June is going to be open.
I think so.
And in our pressing to get information out to our pastors, our tour hosts, as quickly as possible, we were being told that, of course, Santorini was not going to be able to be visited by any of our groups in probably March or April. That now has turned, and potentially,
It's
as you
potentially,
said,
right. They're
that-
saying that there's a good chance they could just, on a dime, change the schedule and do it. And if not, then you're going to have more time in.
Still going to see Crete.
Crete.
Yep. So the question came back, and the reason that I wanted to briefly talk about that was a question come in from a tour host that's traveling here pretty soon, and we've bounced them out of Santorini into Crete, and then now the cruise line said possibly back into Santorini, and they want to know where, and we're like, you may not know till you get on board the ship.
Right, and that's really what it's probably going to
So-
come down to until they make a firm decision.
Yeah.
So we do have, speaking of, we have groups in Greece right now. So we have groups that are currently there. We have, I believe, a group that's actually leaving today or tomorrow as well. And then next week, we've got quite a few groups that are scheduled to leave. So all of the business for spring has already started, and it's just going to get more and more exciting through the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
But we should have quite a few groups that will be in Greece over the course of the next 9 months.
That's awesome. What do we have coming up for pastors? We had some stuff that we had going on the beginning of the year, middle, and now we've got we do have one thing left for the end of the year, which I think is pretty exciting.
It's one of the best trips I've seen.
Yeah, it's going to be a Greece and Turkey. No cruise involved, but all that means is that you're going to be able to spend some more time in Turkey visiting some of those 7 churches. Not all of them, but some of those churches that were in Revelation. So
Correct. I think you visit 5 of the 7 churches.
yeah, I've had a lot of phone calls about that. In fact, just talked to a pastor from out in California today, and he's already excited. He's got about 26 to 30 people that he's hoping to go ahead and get booked for that. But that is our Imagine Fam G 1125, I think is what that is. Imagine Fam G 1125, and that's of course only for our tour hosts, our pastors, to be able to join that if you're active clergy and wanting to lead a trip back and you want to go over and kind of experience that. That's going to be an exciting trip.
Excuse me. It's probably, I would say, one of our best trips.
Yep.
Again, 7 churches starting in Turkey, doing that, having plenty of time, then continuing on to Greece.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The beauty of that trip, too, is you visit Ephesus. Again, there's no cruise involved. There's no time limits. So the amount of time that the group wants to have at Ephesus, you don't have to do any rug shopping or anything like that. It's a true having an opportunity to spend at the sites. There's no conditions or anything because of the cruise lines. It just gives you a lot more flexibility. So
Yeah, I think I'm already in Germany or France or Switzerland that day, so I may miss out on that one. Zach may, of course, Zach may push me off so that he can go to Switzerland, France, Germany, and maybe I go to Turkey. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, we were so pastors promoting trips. Is there any opportunity for pastors to still promote for 25, or is that all going to be out in 26?
Absolutely. I mean, if they're interested and they still want to put a trip together, naturally, it wouldn't necessarily be a large group. We'd have you pretty much jumping on with another group. So you'd be piggybacking with one of our tours already that's in session. So you'd be able to do that, and that's definitely an opportunity. It's a great opportunity if you have a smaller church or you just want to bring a smaller group of maybe 10 or 12 or 14 people with you. Great fellowship.
Yeah. I can't. Rick's already talked about the 7-night cruise and how great that is. All of these trips are great. The 7-night cruise, of course, gives you time to not have to change hotels frequently.
It's incredible.
And of course, some great time to, as you're traveling to the next destination, to spend some time in fellowship. And
Yep.
Yep. So if you are if you're a pastor looking to promote a tour, if you're wanting to put a tour together still for 25 or 26, great to go ahead and start planning those 26 trips. In fact, I think it's pretty imperative that you probably start planning now. But if you're trying to get over in 2025, then go ahead and reach out to sales@ittworld.com. That's sales@ittworld.com, or you can reach us by phone if you want to call us and talk to us, 863-709-9208, 863-709-9208. It's almost like magic. That stuff pops up whenever I start talking about it. So that's pretty amazing. So Zach does a great job putting all this stuff together. So, in fact, if he can kind of change my face a little bit, might be even better. So can you work on that for me, Zach? Okay. Thanks, buddy. I haven't seen any other questions come in. Looks like we've got some blessings coming to us from Saliba over in Bethlehem.
That's awesome.
So he's watching. So how are you, sir? Excited to see your name pop up on this feed.
I can tell you we had some groups today in Bethlehem.
Oh, really?
And I know that this is a Greece live stream, but just to throw in a little side curveball, we have a group or two right now in Bethlehem, and actually 6 groups in Israel currently this week.
Okay.
So, we're making progress.
Yeah. No, that's great. I know I can't wait to get back over and
Absolutely.
spend time with everybody. And I know you and I have been we've got a lot of ministry stuff that's happening around here that's probably keeping us from getting back over there. But hopefully as soon as that's done
Over.
with,
Yes.
maybe the day after, who knows?
That'd be great. So, going back to Greece.
Going back to Greece. Thanks for redirecting.
That's okay.
So,
right now, as Tim mentioned, I would say if you're even considering putting a trip together, if you're a tour leader and you want to put a trip together for 26, now is the time. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to get space because we're not able to block a lot of space like we've been able to do in the past based on the new conditions with Celestial Cruises. So we're actually having to send the requests, make sure we're not allowed to do block bookings anymore like we used to do. And of course, we always send deposits just to hold the space. So if you're even considering the best thing that you can do when planning a trip is choose your dates. Nothing happens without travel dates, and then contact us. And so we can at least begin looking and seeing if there's space available for when you're wanting to travel. That's the first and probably the most important part of starting a trip promotion is you got to have the dates.
Yeah.
The next thing is your people are going to ask you, so when are you going? And the next thing you need to know is these are the dates. Without dates, nothing happens.
Yeah, and I know a lot of pastors want to talk to people and find out where they want to go, but it's best just to go ahead and pick your dates because when you start asking, you're going to get probably 20 to 30 different dates that people want to travel.
Always.
So, yep. So help take some of that out of the planning for your group and just go ahead and pick your dates and promote those. And people don't want to travel typically because of dates. They want to travel because they want to travel with you and spend time in these great places.
Absolutely.
So, Did we have anything else we needed to chat about today?
Not in regards to Greece. I want to say thank you for all of you that viewed our live stream from last week with Amy and myself regarding the river cruises. That was terrific. So if you haven't seen it, please make sure you go back and have a chance to watch it. Again, we plugged Bethlehem and Israel, everything with Greece, river cruises. And if you're planning also an Israel trip for 26, now's a great time to choose your dates as well.
Yeah, it's a great time to go ahead and plan for everything. So we've been talking a lot about Greece, Israel. If you're wanting to go, of course, get that in as well. We've plugged, or I say plugged. We've had a lot of conversation about river cruises. Those are amazing, and we can't even begin to explain how amazing they are. You have to actually go and experience this.
Correct.
But so many great sites to visit, so many great things, I think, to learn. We, of course, look at all of these trips as discipleship trips, whether they be through Israel and following the footsteps of Jesus, or the footsteps of Paul and Greece and Turkey and Rome. And I mean, you start to begin to get into Reformation through Switzerland, France, and Germany, and even into England and Scotland and church heritage trips like that. So
Incredible.
Some amazing trips, just a lot to learn. I know it's blessed me multiple times to be able to travel to these sites and learn what's there available for you to be taught. So.
Nope, I couldn't say it any better.
So. Great stuff. Look forward to hopefully catching up some things that just to kind of give some thoughts out there to you guys. If y'all want to have if you have something that you want us to talk about, or some information like that would be valuable to us, so you can send that in to info@ittworld.com. info@ittworld.com. We'd love to hear what you would like to hear about. We talk about everything that we love. So if you have some specifics that you would like to hear about, please feel free to shoot those in. I know we've got some potentially really some good stuff that we've been talking about that you haven't seen yet, about talking with maybe some important people that we know over in Israel, and them talking about some things that they've done. I won't even get you excited about it. I'm already excited about it, and so we'll get some information coming soon about that. But looking forward each week to spending time with you guys talking about travel, but specifically biblical travel, faith-based travel. Those are the things that we are in love with, and see that as being completely impactful in people's lives.
Yes.
So, well, we look forward to being with you again next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We're struggling through the whole time change thing.
It is. It's definitely impacted us a lot this week.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm about to nod off right now.
But it's been great. I love having longer days.
So, well, we love and appreciate you guys. We will look forward to seeing you guys next week, and God bless and take care.
Thank you.